I'm Dr. Akila, and today I want to do a video. It's so long overdue. I've been meaning to do this video for the last 2 years, and this video is about why I stopped perming my hair. You know, I really don't give my hair much thought when I do my health videos, like on Healing Power Hour, which is my most popular YouTube channel. I never talk about my hair, and I only do 2 styles. You'll see it down like this or in a little tiny ponytail. That's all I got. But I hear a lot of women compliment me on my hair, and I think the reason I don't give it a second thought is because, you know, I've had locks for a very, very long time. I stopped perming my hair in 1996, and I thought it would be very interesting to share my story with you all of how I got to this phase right now where I decided to just go and just lock it up and keep it like this for the rest of my life. I have no intention to keep my hair short. I like it long, but when it gets past my hips, I always cut 10 inches off and start over. So probably since for a very long time, I think I did a 10-inch chop. Even if it's 10 inches cut off, it's cut off to right here. So it's still long, and it's not that noticeable when I cut it. But, you know, my experience is different than any woman's experience because, well, I lived a different life. For those of you who are part of my channel here, Dr. Akila 2, you know that I used to be a police officer, and during the time I was a police officer, I had a perm. Loved my perm, didn't think nothing about it, didn't know what I know now. When I was on this police force, I was on the graveyard shift, and I was the youngest on the team, and the youngest officer on the team was always given the crappy duties. Like, we were always given the traffic accidents, which required a lot of paperwork. We were always guarding the crime scenes. And another duty we're given is to watch over autopsies. Now, there was a murder in the city, and I had to watch over the autopsy, which I think is stupid because, you know, we're not medical professionals, and so if the mortician or whoever the guy that deals with the dead body who's doing the autopsy, if he does something shady, we don't know. And not only that, we can't even stomach an autopsy, so we're really outside doing something, and they are okay with it. Because what we have to do is sign the paper saying we witnessed the autopsy, but 9 times out of 10, we ain't watched that stuff. I mean, come on, we don't have the stomach for it. So anyway, there was a woman who was also on the table. Now, I don't really want to get too gory with you guys, but all of the dead bodies and the autopsies and all of that is down in the basement. And you would think they just have this little small room with a few bodies. They have rooms and rooms and rooms of bodies. It was just mind-blowing. Like, you see, like, a lot of dead bodies with white paper covered, with white plastic wraps covering over them, and they got the toe tags on them. It's very cold in those rooms, so, you know, have my coat on. So I didn't want to be there. Plus, it has that smell. And this smell reminds me about when we used to dissect frogs. Those of you who from the old school, that same smell that the embalmed or maybe it was the formaldehyde, but it was that same smell downstairs. And anyway, the mortician or whoever the doctor guy, I think it's the doctor, I don't think he's a mortician, he would tell me, listen, to get your mind off of it, why don't you just, instead of looking at the bodies as if they were something that used to be alive, why don't you pretend to be a doctor and see if you can figure out how each person died? Well, there were a few bodies there who they had the crown of their heads sawed off. It was like a cap. It was like they had it cut off, and then you just see the brain. Some of them had the brain on the outside on the table. Sorry if I'm getting gory with this. I'm going to try not to be too gory, okay? Well, with this one particular black woman, she had like a lot of dark patches her brain right in here. And to me, it looked like someone did a blunt trauma, a blunt force. They hit her with a blunt object against her head. So I said, this woman must have been beaten to death. And so the doctor guy comes over and he looks at the body, he looks at the head, and he goes, no. He says, you talking about those black markings? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, he said, why do you say that? And I said, well, you can also see where it looks spongy. You know how a sponge it looks like something was eating away at her brain too. And so I thought that the blunt object like cracked her brain and some of the blood come out. I don't know what the reasoning is, but where these black marks, these dark marks were, there was a little spongy texture in that area. Looks like something was eating slowly away at that part of the brain. And he looked at me nonchalantly and said, no, this is common for black women to have these markings in your head. Now, of course, I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about, black women? Is this racist thing? What are you doing? What are you talking about? And he looked at me like, he says, the chemicals that you put in your head, this is what happens to your brain. Now, I am standing there like shocked because I am one of the people who was doing that to her head. And I'm saying, no, perms don't do that to your head. It can't be that. It has to be dye or it has to be, hereditary. And so you know what he does? He goes in, he looks at a clipboard, and he goes into these silver refrigerators. It's the only thing or coolers. And he pulls out two more bodies. One body is a woman who also has perm hair. Apparently she's a Jane Doe. No one can find out who she is. She's been there for several weeks, TMI, no. Then they put out another sister, and she has natural hair, okay? As a matter of fact, she had a short bush. So, long story short, because I don't want to get gory, he opens the cranial of both women, and therefore shows me the brains of both. The woman who did not have a perm, who just had that, it looked like a little small fade, nothing was different with her brain. It was nothing. It was just like a gray matter, just regular brain. The woman who had permed her hair, she had similar, not as much as the other female, the first female I saw, but she did have discolorization, and ironically, differently between the other woman, she still had that little spongy corrosion in her brain area, but it wasn't dark like the other female. And so when he starts showing me, okay, this is common, that this type of colorization is usually all up here. And then when I think about it, this is the area we always want to touch up the most. We kind of like keep that kitchen, not so much. But then again, I couldn't really, the brain is not, it's more pronounced here than it is back here. So, of course, you will see a lot of discolorization and a lot of the corrosion in this area of the brain than any other part of the brain. So, it's usually all up here. And then when I think about it, this is the area we always want to touch up the most. We kind of like keep that kitchen, not so much. But then again, I couldn't really, the brain is not, it's more pronounced here than it is back here. So, of course, you will see a lot of discolorization and a lot of the corrosion in this area of the brain than any other part of the brain. So, when he showed me all this, I freaked out. I freaked out because I'm thinking, oh my God, this could be happening to my brain. I have been wearing perms since I was 10 or 11 or 12 years old. And this